Okay, chewing on a candy. Loosely's a little late, so we're going to go live without him. He's playing in traffic. We do this every Thursday night at 9 till whenever. We usually cut it around 10:30, and we talk about cars, anything with wheels, uh, motorcycles, boats, trailers, you name it. We'll talk about it. Music. So to not be lonely, let's bring everybody in. Hello,
Ray,
and
Jeff,
Brian. What's going
Hey,
on?
Ray. Hey, Brad.
what's going on?
Oh, this is it. Lewis sent me a text. He was getting off the highway or something. I don't know. So I guess he's looking for a place to point his antenna.
Is that campground, sub camp?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. He is driving the hell out of that bus. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, freak on flyer miles for sure.
That's not a bad thing, really. He's doing exactly what he wanted to do.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. And he got a chance. I mean, he gets a chance, and he's doing it.
Yeah.
And it's not that one day or soon or heck, he could have just taken one trip and said, "This ain't for me," and then what? You know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, I know we're planning a trip. We're going to be going down to North Carolina in a couple of weeks, see my daughter. And between trying to find an Airbnb, we found one that was my wife shows me the picture. I'm like, that's a church. It was like, yeah, it was the second floor with a rooftop of a church. I was like, you got to be kidding me. It was like, it was really nice. It was really nice. But I mean, I'm already trying to think ahead, a couple of weeks ahead about what am I going to bring? What am I packing? What am I, I'll probably be working on my daughter's car. So that means I'm bringing tools, So, yeah, it's a lot of work. A lot of work.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to think because, like you said, you have your basics. Like, okay, maybe an oil change or look at the brakes or something like that. But you just have no idea what you're going to open up into.
Well, the last thing she said to me was she had to get an inspection and she has a check engine light.
Uh-oh.
And I said, okay. And her husband bought a little code reader. And yeah, it's a PO 420. I'm like, okay. So, her RAV has, it's over 100,000 miles. I don't know, it's maybe 140 or 160. So it's probably a cat.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not going to be doing like exhaust work on her driveway. I mean, you need also, you need your special stuff for that.
Yeah.
Fellas.
Here he is, straight from a
There
parking
he
lot
is.
somewhere in this great land.
Man, listen.
Tell us.
One of these days. So I was in Missouri, just south of Louisiana. Or no, St. Louis, I'm sorry. Just south of St. Louis. So we came to Arkansas. It was a 4-hour trip, turned into an 8-hour trip.
Uh-oh.
So I'm on the road, and a guy pulls up next to me. He's pointing at the back.
Oh.
So I pull over. My back tire of the Jeep is gone. Back tire is gone, and half the rim's gone.
Oh my God.
So there's people passing me, and they're not telling me nothing. You know what I mean?
Right.
10 people passed me and never said anything, and I know they seen it because it was gone. Right?
Yeah.
So I found a place. I put the spare on. So my spare had a slow leak. So I found a place to get a tire. So that was 2 hours out of the trip. So now we're heading down. We're about a half hour away from the place where we're going to park for the night. And the GPS takes me the wrong way. It takes me an hour out of the way.
Oh,
Wow.
jeez.
So it took me an hour out of the way, an hour back to where I still had a half hour. So that's why I'm late. In 20 minutes.
Wow. So let me ask you this: you didn't feel it? You didn't feel that at all?
Nah, he won't.
Maybe people thought you repoed it or something, and you were dragging it out of there to the yard.
I didn't feel a thing, man. I could have kept on going. If the guy didn't point me, the whole Jeep would have been gone. Hold on 1 second.
Wow, man.
So my recommendation is to always have one of these.
There you go.
Yeah.
Old
You actually got
school.
one that's 2026. Wow.
New
Yeah, I
one,
wasn't
yeah.
playing around. So I bought this earlier today, thinking I was like, hey, if the GPS ever goes wrong, I got this. And it goes wrong, but I was already messed up, so it didn't matter.
You know, I bought one in 2018. We went to Tennessee, and we went into a Walmart, and they actually had a whole display of maps and atlases. I said, I'm buying me an atlas, man. I haven't seen one of these
Yeah.
in a while. So yeah.
So if you're going to be traveling, use your GPS, but also take a glance at where you're going on the map too, because if I would have did that, I would have known that it was taking me out of the way. If I'd just glanced at it a little bit,
Yeah. I guess
Yeah.
that way you have your general sense of direction if you're going west, east, north, whatever. Yeah, you have that
right?
kind of marker. Yeah.
So what did it shave the rim?
Oh, it's gone. Rim, it was down to the face of the rim. There's no, where the tire sits in,
Yeah,
the edge gone.
gone.
The bead, yeah.
So
Yeah.
was the wheel locked up? Or did it was
No.
It was spinning, right?
It was still moving, still rolling, I guess.
Spinning, yeah.
Yep.
So I see that on this channel I watch, just rolled in. They'll say guy just came in, said he wanted his flat fixed, and there's like no tire. There's just tire around the bead. Yeah.
wow.
Oh my God. Wow. That's crazy. Wow.
So the tire something grabbed the tire off, and so the wheel was still spinning, but it was just sparking. I can't believe you didn't see the sparks.
I think what happened from what I've seen is the tire went flat, and then since it didn't have air, it just started shredding itself because it was
Right.
and literally just left.
Yeah.
That's what I've been seeing on these videos. Guys are driving like that. We were talking about tires last week, and some people have been saying, I don't think tires are the same as they used to be. I don't know. I haven't had that impression. I thought they were. We were just talking about this the other day too at a meeting I was at, and I haven't necessarily seen that myself, but maybe it's so.
I don't. Well, me personally, I mean, the tires that I've gone through on the tool truck, they're not the same as they were.
Okay.
I mean, expense wise, I mean, you had a cheap tire, and there was no obligations of, hey, you're going to last X amount of time. It was a cheap tire.
Yeah.
And then you had your good tire, or you had your expensive tire, and these things, oh man, these are 5 years. And I bought some good tire. I bought the expensive tires, and 2.5 years down the road, you're having issues, and you're like, dude, this isn't the same. And
Nothing's the same. It's crazy.
Nothing.
Yep.
That is crazy. I'm glad you didn't, really
become a statistic.
Yeah, or really have a real problem. I mean, I hate to see that problem, but
right. So
it could have been so much worse.
Yeah. So I got a camera on the back of the bus, and it's an old camera I had on my house a long time ago. So I was going to switch it out. So when I took it off, the wire fell down into the wall.
Oh.
So I couldn't get the wire for the camera. So I left without my camera on the back, and I probably would have seen a little bit better if I had my camera on.
Yeah.
Right. So
this was a guaranteed problem day.
Speaking of cameras, we thought we had a mouse in the house because I found a pear chewed up one day on the counter, and then the bread was eaten a little, and so I went to Micro Center. I bought one of these. It's camera made by Wise, WYZE, good company, and it articulates, it follows you. So I went in and I'm playing around with it, and I said, okay, I don't need this thing on all day. I really just want it on from midnight to 6 a.m. So I went in and I set it midnight to 6 a.m. I called that, bedtime, and it records. It's on all day, and it shuts off between midnight and 6 a.m. Even though it's on and off, right?
Yeah.
So now what I did is I went in today. I made it the opposite. So on at midnight, No, I did it the opposite. I made it off at midnight, on at 6 a.m., and now it's on today watching me. So it's not gonna. I know it's not going to be live at night. I don't know what I got. I don't know what am I doing wrong.
Well, if you put a memory stick in it or a memory card,
I did put it.
it'll keep recording and then it'll overlap stuff. So just let
Yeah.
it run.
Yeah, I figured I'd be conservative and just put it on for the hours that I need it.
Yeah.
And I'm saying like I'm not that technologically stupid. I can usually figure this stuff out, but this
Yeah.
one is like, dude, I told it on and off, and that's the time that it shuts off. So
Yeah, I have one inside my 3D printer. So if I'm not standing at the printer, I can watch it on my phone if I'm in the other room or something.
got it.
So it works pretty good. It's one of those wise cameras.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, the
So
picture
that
was
was
good.
my adventurous day, and then I just pulled in here, and I had 5 minutes to spare.
Wow.
So I hooked everything up. I set the shower up so the wife can take a shower, and now I'm here.
I was gonna say you still got your passengers, so you haven't been abandoned yet, so that's good. She didn't get a bus home.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, that's good. That's good.
So yeah, we're doing good. We stayed at some friends' houses in Missouri. Stayed there for a week. They have a schoolie too, so I helped him out a little bit on his bus. I didn't help; I was just supervising. He was doing all the work.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So now we're heading to Hot Springs, Arkansas.
What's
I
there?
guess this has a lot of national parks there, so we're gonna go hang out there for a couple of days.
Okay.
And I'm gonna jump over to St. Paul in Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna stop there, see him, and he's in the same town as Signature Solar, so they're gonna give me a tour of the plant and all that stuff. So I'm gonna go there,
That's good.
and then we're gonna meet my son and his family, just north of Dallas. So we'll stay there a week, and then we'll head back. Actually, I have to go back to Missouri because I bought a trailer. I bought a 20-foot enclosed trailer, 8.5
Okay.
wide, 8 foot tall.
Nice.
Wow.
So I got to swing back by and grab that. The guy didn't have a title, so I'm gonna swing back there and get that, and throw the Jeep in the back and head home.
Well, I was going to say that solves one problem. You put the Jeep in it, and you have to worry about those tires. You only got to worry about his trailer tires.
Yeah. Well, he put new ones on, so hopefully they're good tires.
Yeah.
Get me home. I don't know. My luck. You'll see me next week still down here playing with the tires.
Is that a single axle trailer or a double?
Double axle. It has
Should
the
be double.
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. It has 7,000-pound axles, so
Right.
I'm good for 14. Yeah, it's a heavy duty, man. The guy that really juiced up.
So are you set up for like trailer braking? You have electric braking set up?
Yeah.
You did? Nice.
Yep.
Very good. Very good.
Yep.
Yeah, that's nice.
So when I was putting the hitch on for the motorcycle and all that stuff, I put double.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you put something double on.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about brakes, so
So,
that electric braking is really cool. That works really well.
yeah.
Very nice.
So
Papa Squirrel, you out in the wilderness?
Whatever you said, Louis, you got to repeat it because you froze up.
okay. I forget what I was saying.
You did something when you put the trailer, the motorcycle hitch on. You doubled something.
So yeah, I set the bus up with all the different plugs, so I wouldn't be stuck. If one trailer has one plug or a different plug, I'm good. I can plug up anything.
Okay.
That's handy.
Yeah.
Papa Squirrel,
Yes,
where are you?
I'm in Oregon.
Look like you're in the Garden of Eden or something tonight.
Oregon.
No, Oregon for Ren Fair up in Canby, Oregon, I think.
Oh man, I wish I'd known that. I would have went that way. I would have came over that way. Hello.
Oh,
Was
there
that
you
a
go.
goat? Is that a pet
Yes,
goat?
it is.
Hey.
Our friend.
Small.
Okay.
I do laptop. Okay.
Nice.
Wow. We see all types of stuff here on Plane and
Well,
Traffic.
you never know.
Well, one of these days we'll cross in the same directions, but I don't know.
Well, don't
So-
come back this way because we haven't had any rain, and I'm sure when you come back, it's going to rain. So
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll bring
Saturday.
it.
We're supposed to get some on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll bring it
it's
up for
supposed
you.
all day tomorrow here.
So I went to an event over the weekend at a guy's shop, 80,000 square foot facility filled with cars. He takes them on consignment. He buys, he sells, he stores for people. And I went there with the Corvette Society, and Stan, the president, he says, "Hey, I've been watching you." And watching me? Well, on YouTube. He was on that other show on the Thursday night show. I'm like, "Oh, Plane in Traffic." He goes, "Yeah, I watched you on there." So Stan's watching. Hey, Stan, we got more people. I don't know if he's. Well, I didn't catch. I didn't see if he saw it live or if he watched it after the fact. But people are tuning in and checking it out. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. But yeah, that car facility was absolutely. We were there last year for an event, and you see that many cars. It's actually breathtaking because you can't. You walk around all day just looking at cars that are in a building. It's crazy. And that guy's got multiple buildings, so unbelievable. But
Sorry, I keep losing my feed.
Yeah.
My Starlink is inside the shower in the sunroof. So as soon as my wife gets out, I'll throw it outside and I'll get better reception.
Trouble with displays like that is I have to have a drool rag because I walk around and I don't want to drool in the cars.
Yeah, and there's a lot to drool over. I sent Brian some. Actually, I made a post on social media, put some of the cars up. But I mean, there's everything from star cars, TV cars, movie cars, and everything from Datsun Z's to Porsches to Shelby's, GTOs. The Monkey Mobile is there. A lot of Corvettes, a lot of Mercedes, and all these,
Nice.
VW vans. You name it. There's, I mean, a whole slew of Caddy Eldorados, hardtop and convertibles from like the late '70s. I mean, there's everything in there. So very cool. You don't know which way to turn your head, but
So where I was staying at my buddy's house, a guy on the street had a really, I should have took pictures of it, but he had like maybe a 6-car garage, and he had old gas pumps. It looked like an old gas station outside. He had all kind of old stuff like that.
yeah,
And
nice.
man, he opened the door, and when I tell you, this dude had easy $1 million worth of cars in there.
Really.
He had old Corvettes, he had Chevelles, he had muscle cars, he had rat rods. Every time I rode by, and they were just stacked in there. Oh God, look at all this stuff. I didn't want to stop and talk to him, but I did want to stop. But my wife's like, no. But man, this dude has some stuff, man. Easy
sure?
$1 million worth of cars.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
it's
the
crazy
old
what's
country.
It's crazy what's out there. Nobody
Yeah.
knows. Some people know,
Yep, on a back road, country road, and he had it all set up like an old gas station, and I was like, man.
Yeah, I
He
see
had
some places
buckets.
like that.
He had motors sitting on motor stands, big boy motors, like with big blowers, and I mean, he had stuff, man. I don't know what I guess he worked at a car manufacturer, and he got his hand smashed, so he got a big settlement.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so he's a car guy.
That'll do it.
That'd do it.
That will
I don't
do
know
it.
if I go through the pain to get a whole bunch of cars, but
Well, no, but you know what? If you're unfortunate enough to have an accident like that, and then you get paid out, you might as well make the best of it. Yeah. Wow, that's pretty cool. That's neat. Yeah. Oh man. So Lewis, I was thinking of you because, like I was saying before you got on, we're going to be traveling in a few weeks, and we're looking at Airbnbs for a week. And I know you've used them. I never have, and shopping is kind of hard. I mean, you don't know. You see everything from rooms in a house to the whole house to the whole half the house, and it runs the gamut from like lowbrow, like lowbrow IKEA stuff to like really nice highbrow stuff where they have all sorts of amenities and all. It's hard to pick. It really is.
Yeah, then you don't know if you're getting a place that you're not sharing or the owner's still there. There's a lot of things.
There was really, well, a lot of them. There's a lot of condos and townhouses that they rent out. So I get that. A guy makes the investment, buys the place, and turns it into an Airbnb. Some smaller houses are the same way. There was this one. It was a really big house, and I guess he had enough room where he broke off like pretty much a big size apartment in the house. And he was very specific. This is in my house, and we live here. So you can park on a specific part of the driveway by your entrance, and you have access to this amount of outside. But, don't go over here, don't go over there. And we don't know, no smoking, and I forget if they didn't want pets enough. But they were very, very specific. I said, okay, that's good. At least you know ahead of time what you're getting into.
Unfortunately, a lot of people just don't read, so they get something and they're like, "What do you mean? Limited downstairs or whatever."
Well, that's what my wife said to this one. She contacted one guy today and said it was a house or a condo. I forget what it was. I think it was a small house. And they said, no, most of them are like, they want no smoking in the house. Okay, no problem. So she wrote to him and says, hey, I see no problem smoking in the house. I see there is outside access. There's a patio. And she goes, my husband likes to have a cigar once in a while. Is that a problem outside? And he said, oh, no, absolutely no problem outside. Just, close the door so nothing comes in and you're cool. I said, okay, good. I got other people tell me, don't even ask.
No, leave it.
It's always better to know ahead of time, I think.
Yeah.
We stayed at a lot of Airbnbs, and I really like them. They're better than a hotel. They've got a full-size refrigerator, and you can warm up a snack if you want to. And just find one that's in your price range near where you want to be, and is great. We got one for SEMA already.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, like I said, we're seeing a lot of houses and then condos that were also, that people are using. Some townhouses. It runs the gamut. It really
It does.
Really does.
You want to be careful. You don't want to rent just a room. Sometimes
Right.
we have done that before. I don't really like that. You either want the whole thing, and you want to make sure you have your private entrance, and you also want your own bath.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you can find small apartments. It's just search the area and keep clicking on the things. Look at all the pictures. Yeah.
That's what we've been doing. It's like all day, It's like, oh my
yeah,
God.
it does. I love them though. I love them better than hotels.
We've been staying in some really nice hotels. The problem is, I like to get up in the morning and know what it's like outside. You look out the window and it could be overcast, so you don't know if it's foggy, humid, rainy. The windows aren't open. You got to go all the way downstairs and go out to find out. So, I like to be able to peek my head out and see. So.
Right. We've had pretty good luck with Airbnbs. I had one at SEMA, and it was so close to the convention center. I was like, "Oh man, it's right here. I could throw a rock."
Uh-huh.
That place was so bad. Lou said, "Oh, you can't stay here," so I went and stayed with him. That's how bad it was.
Wow. Now, how was it bad? What was
it was like an apartment complex, like the projects, but it was stuck right in the middle of in between like the convention center and the strip. It was like the last building that they didn't get out of there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the guy, it was a guy living there, and so I got the Airbnb for a room. Man, I get there, man. This dude had dogs, and it was a mess, man.
Oh wow,
it's terrible. Lou was like, "You can't stay here," so I went to stay with him.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, it was bad. And you would think it would have been a nice place. Where was that?
my wife gets all our places because I don't have the patience to put up with some of the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really got to do your homework. Even call and ask questions with local people to see what kind of neighborhood it is too. Because me and my wife got one, and it was over by the college by UNLV. Really nice apartment. It was really beautiful. So we called an Uber, and he picked us up. He's like, "Man, you're in a bad neighborhood." And I was like, "Huh?" I was like, "It's really nice." He goes, "That place is nice, but you're in a bad neighborhood." He goes, "Don't walk at night."
Oh, wow.
So you really got to do your homework because this place is really nice. I mean, we didn't know.
That reminds me, it was back in '89. We took a trip to California, and my wife booked the hotel. I know we were going to go to LA, and I was doing a ride and fly with Harley Davidson. I picked up a bike in Glendale. I was going to pick it up in Glendale, and then we were going to ride down to San Diego and then come back to LA. So we're going to spend like a day or two in LA and then hit the road and then stay in a different hotel. So she booked a hotel. We get in the car, we get in a taxi to the airport. We tell the guy where we're going. He's like, "You sure that's where you go?" Well, yeah. Well, it was Commerce. I start seeing like water in the ports and derricks. Like, we're down by like the shipping, like by the docks. Commerce is a tough part of town. It's like a lot of bike gangs down there. I was like, "Oh," so I still, that still comes up in conversation. Like, "Yeah, book us a hotel in Commerce, why don't you?" But you don't know. You don't know from there.
One time we were going on vacation at Myrtle Beach, so I was like, I'm gonna splurge and I'm gonna get a condo right on the beach.
Uh-huh.
So I book it, and we're coming down the street, right? And you see nice condo, a raggedy condo, and guess which one was ours?
Yeah.
Listen, I can't believe they even let that place stay there. It was leaning to the side. It was so close to the beach you could throw a rock to the beach.
Yeah.
So you would think, "Oh man, I got a good place." Man, this place is so bad. My kids, they laugh at me still about it.
Now my niece is in South Carolina, and they go up there. But I said to her, I have a friend in Myrtle Beach. She's a pinstriper, and she goes, "Oh, you mean Murder Beach?" I'm like, "What?" She goes, "Yeah, that's what we call it now. We call it Murder Beach because after dark, it's like all the gangs come out on the boardwalk. You can't walk on the boardwalk after dark." I'm like, "Really? Are you kidding me?" I mean, that was so nice during the day, but yeah, she goes, "It's Murder Beach." Holy shit!
Well, hell, we rented a hotel room one time through one of these rental, get it cheaper through a rental or motel agency. We got down there and it was in Vegas, and we should have realized something was wrong because it said Motel 6, but the sign had been covered with a bag.
Oh God!
They had lost their
franchise,
whatever it is. Yeah, and they didn't even have our reservation. That really pissed us off. So we went ahead and spent the night there. But that's the only time she and I ever slept with our guns on the sideboard, because you could hear shit going on there, and it was like, okay. And so we get up the next day and wander around, and we find a brand chain or something, and we told the guy about it. He said, "Oh yeah, they just lost their license." Oh, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
So I've never booked another motel through Motels or Us or whatever that gives you a discount.
Right.
Because, So.
Yeah, you really got to watch.
We were traveling years ago, and my sister was in Colorado, and we did a road trip with them. They took us all over the state, and I don't even know what the hell town we were in, but there was this little roadside place called the Brown Burrow. This is another one of these stories that follows us. So we get our room. It was like everything in the room was like brown and gold kind of wallpaper, weird pattern. The bathroom, the tile in the shower was dark brown. Wall ceiling, and there's like a 20-watt bulb in the thing. You could hardly see. The bed was like the camel. It was like you lay in the bed and it was like your ass hit the floor. was like, oh my God, what get the hell out of here. You crazy.
So
I think if you travel a lot, you're going to find bad spots, no
Yeah.
matter what you do.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get back on.
What are you doing, Louis? You're freezing.
He froze up again.
Yes, he did.
He's got to get
His
those
internet-
gerbils to run a little faster.
Yeah.
His internet connection is worse than the one my daughter has, and that's the one we're using.
Sorry.
Got a little bit of water pressure for his wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where
So
are you, Lewis?
go ahead, Paul.
Where are you, Lewis?
I am in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Awesome.
I'm making my way towards you.
Nice.
Yeah, we're gonna go to Hot Springs, Arkansas for a couple days, and then we'll be heading your way.
Yeah, well, if you're in Little Rock, you're only a couple hours from Hot Springs and the volcanic crater and all that stuff.
Yeah, we're
Diamond
gonna
Crater, whatever they call it.
Yeah, we're gonna stay there for about 3-4 days, I think.
Okay.
Yep.
I think that's the only place that has a diamond mine in the United States is Hot Springs, Arkansas. Hell, I'm losing track.
Oh yeah.
It's one of the only places open to the public, but I think there's a place in Georgia that's also open to the public.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we love that kind of stuff, so we're gonna go see all that. Maybe throw the wife in the springs, see if she can swim.
Just make sure it's not too hot a spring. You don't want to cook your wife.
Yeah, that's what they said. It's hot water.
Yes.
So back to before I fade off again, back to my GPS. So I got my GPS and my radio, the CarPlay. So, and I got a GPS for trucks, so you can set the height and all that stuff, so you don't go under bridges, and it takes your truck routes.
Nice.
So what I've learned is if your address doesn't come up right away, and it gives you some problems, it's a problem. Because this morning we were trying to put it in the truck route, the truck GPS, and it kept giving us crazy stuff. And so I was like, well, I'll just set it when I get closer, because when we get off the interstate, I'll set it so I won't go down the wrong streets. And it took us an hour and a half out of the way.
Wow.
Yep. So
Yeah, we got a truck GPS for ourselves, and it keeps trying to route us through San Francisco when we're not even heading towards San Francisco.
Jeez.
But it says it's the shortest route.
Yeah, so I updated it just now, so hopefully it fixed itself.
How tall are you, Lewis? The bus.
I am 11'6".
Okay. You'd
Yeah.
have some trouble on Long Island, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know. I found that out the hard way one time.
Yeah, we got some 9-foot bridges. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so I won't be bringing my 8-foot trailer through there.
No. Oh, funny.
Yeah, this trailer's pretty nice. The guy, he ordered it in 2010. It's 2010, so 15 years old, but it's in good shape.
Right. A lot of times they don't get a lot of use, and they stay in good shape.
Yeah, he said he used it for storage and an office, so he sat in it most of the time.
Okay.
And that's why he didn't have a title. He just put it on his property and it's just sitting there.
Okay.
So
I like the fact it's got heavy axles because an ex-friend of ours had one of those 20-foot trailers. It didn't have 7,000-pound axles. It had 3,500-pound axle, and he was blowing bearings constantly. He got pretty good at changing his bearings in the side of the freeway, which is not where you want to change bearings at.
No, definitely not.
yeah, so as soon as I get back up there, I'm gonna put new bearings in it and grease them before I even take off. Yep, I'm not even playing around.
Yeah, definitely. After the Jeep thing, you really just gotta look. It's just gotta be a checklist. You just gotta start at
Right.
one front of the vehicle and at least walk down and look at everything.
Yeah.
Touchy feely. You need to
Yep,
walk around with a baseball bat and bounce them off the tires.
Yes.
And the temp gauge. I like those temp gauges. You can point at your bearings to see if they're
Oh,
a little warm or not.
Yeah,
And a baseball bat.
Yep.
yeah.
Some places, you know,
Especially after your first stop, you get down the road. You get down the road a little bit, and like you said, you get one of those temp guns. They're not that bad. You could buy one with the pointer for $65-$80, and you can see if you'll know right off the bat if you even on tire, it'll tell you if you have an issue with the tire, with the heat. You prevent something instead of like what happened with the Jeep.
All right, that's the second time somebody said something. Lewis, I'm out of the loop. What happened to the Jeep?
So I'm coming down here, and a guy pulls up next to me and says, "Hey, something's wrong back there." So I get out of the bus, and my back tire of the Jeep was gone, and half of the rim was gone.
Oh man!
And I couldn't feel it at all. That bus was pulling it like it was a go-kart.
Well, it had to have been that way for a little while, and there was only one guy that brought it to your attention.
Yeah. What was crazy is people passing me and never said anything. They passed me and kept on rolling. Yep.
Well, it'd never have been us, because if we see something like that, you're going to think we're crazy, because my wife will be leaning out the window hollering at you.
Yeah. That's just common sense, man. People are just self-consumed. They don't care.
Yeah.
As long as my tire wasn't hitting their car, they don't care.
Lewis, are you registered commercial or passenger with the bus?
Passenger.
You are. Okay.
It's registered as a motorhome.
So now with the trailer, will that limit you on certain roadways?
No, as long as you're under your state length, which I'm 65, I can have combination of 65 feet.
Yeah, you see up here on the expressway, you could have a trailer on a passenger vehicle, but not on the parkways. They're not allowed at all. So yeah, you got, I guess you got to know the state regulations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm only going to use the trailer when I go to rim fairs and stuff like that. I think I'm going to do those. So I won't take it everywhere, just certain places.
Sure.
I have my shop all set up in there. Plan.
Yeah, makes sense. You got enough.
Yeah.
So maybe you should be buying some like 8-ply tires for the Jeep for when you tow it. Get some.
Well, they were kind of iffy, and I was trying to get some life out of them before they changed them. I got new tires at the house sitting in the garage.
Okay.
Boy, that's one thing we learned with this truck. Don't let your tires get iffy.
Yeah.
Because if they get iffy, they're going to blow at the most inopportune moment you can find.
Yeah, Murphy's a bitch.
And we were what?
Jim said Murphy's a bitch.
Murphy's God, Murphy's a bitch.
And I found out that a lot of times he's an optimist.
That's true too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
I'm not going to be worried about it much longer, because we gave my daughter and her husband the business, and the truck goes along with it. And she's going to get to find out all the rules and regulations about, even though it's a motor home, how much fun it is to maintain the tires.
Yep.
I'm glad she drove commercial for a couple of years, because she has more experience with things like that.
Yep, tires, belts, hoses, all kinds of crazy. You never know.
Oh God, everything.
And
It's
hell,
going to be her headache.
I tell you, all the things I've done on the side of the road in my tool truck, thank God I had tools.
Yeah, right.
You knew a guy.
Yeah, I tell you, one of the craziest things ever was the power steering line runs through the frame and comes out. The pump runs off the flywheel. And I don't know, I was going down the road and lost power steering. And so the line was, rusted. And it was kind of funny because I pulled into a shop and the guy goes, "What happened?" And I said, "Oh, the power steering line blew." He goes, "Oh, yeah, no problem. I'll fix it for you." And I'm like, "Okay, dude, whatever." And I, pull the cab up. I watched this joker, man. He goes in there, cuts some fuel line and puts a clamp on it, And I was like, "Dude, that's not going to hold." He goes, "Yeah, you'll be okay." And I said, "Oh, yeah." So I started it up and he goes, "See, it's holding." And I touched the steering wheel. And man, that hose got about that big. It looked like a python had eaten a rat,
Wow.
And he's like, "Holy crap!" And I said, "This looks like 3/8 line, metal line." I said, "I'll just call the auto parts store, and you don't mind, I'll sit over here on the side, get out of his way." And of course, it's 10 millimeter. It's not 3/8. And of course I tell the guy, I said, I think it's 10, 10 millimeters the size, because it's the same as 3/8. I said, "No, dude, it's not the same."
Oh God, no.
Yeah. So he
No.
sends me, I said, "Well, send me what you got." And I said, "Send me some fitting, assortment of fittings too." So he sends me some stuff. I take care of it. And man, I am out there, and I had to adapt from 10 millimeter to 3/8 on the line, and I'm like drilling the fittings out so that I could fit the line, get everything, and get it all back. And that was it. I mean, I got it working, but I'm like, man, I'm glad I'm on the side of the road with a tool truck, because I had a drill, I had bits, I had all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So, and the funny part was, of course, I ordered a line from the dealer and got, and when I sold the truck, I gave the guy the line. He goes, "What's this?" I said, "Oh, it needs a line on the power steering." I said, "Here's the line." And he looks at it and goes, "Well, how long ago was that?" I said, "That was a couple of years ago." Here's the line to replace. So, tell you, man.
Wow.
So that was funny when he hooked the fuel line up to that thing. That hose blew up. I said, "Man, you're only about like 3,000 psi going through that line."
Yeah.
Fuel line is not meant for that.
Yeah, I know. But
What he says.
I just watched a video from his shop. They said the guy brought the car in for some brake work. They said he repaired his own brake line, and he just wanted like rotors changed. So they look and they show you what he did is he had two hard lines that must have rusted, and he put hose on it, like double clamped it on both ends. And when they asked him, like, "What did you do that for?" He goes, "Well, I used high pressure hose. I used fuel injection hose." They're like, "Dude, it's not going to work." It's like, "Well, I double clamped it." Like, no.
Yeah, okay, dude.
Yeah.
and that's what's driving around,
Yeah.
And then of course they go after guys and trucks that just have a light bulb out and run them through the whole thing, and the whole time you got all this crap driving around.
I saw the craziest thing today. I was going to a gas station. I get up, there's a traffic light, and I guess it had already turned green. There was two cars. I was the third car in the right lane, and nobody was moving. And I think the first car in the left lane must have done or said something, because there was a pickup truck behind him. and the guy in the pickup was pissed, and he was like trying to jerk forward to get this guy to move, and he wouldn't move. So the guy in the pit, and now no one else moved. Everybody just stayed there. The guy in the pickup power brakes the thing, and he's spinning the rear tires and smoking out the street. And now people start beeping. Everybody's beep, 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 beep. I'm like, just go. Just fucking go. You know, go around the guy. I don't care. And the guy in front of him finally rolled out and left, and the other lane. It was just the weirdest thing in the world. Like trying to intimidate him with a power brake. But it would have worked better if he was in front of him, I guess. You know, but he was behind him. So.
Well, we had a warm day today, and once it warms up around here, everybody goes absolutely.
That was it. It was warm here too. Yeah.
We get past that 87 degree mark, and people lose it, dude. You know, the heat brings out the crazies.
Uh-huh.
I hate to say it, but I'm sorry. That area, it's something in the water. It has nothing to do with the heat or the cold. Something about that metropolitan area of the Mid-Atlantic. You guys are just screwed with the way this is going up there right now.
Yeah, it's too many donkey and cart drivers that get licensed.
Yeah, well, the problem I've been seeing too is, you know, now the new Camry or the new Camaro is a pickup truck. Everybody's driving Rams and Fords, you know, with hot motors, and these guys hot rod them. They put mufflers on them, and they drive them like they're driving Corvettes. You know, and they're in a lifted truck with bigger wheels, and like, you know, they didn't increase the braking capacity of that truck at all, and they really drive them, you know, like they're Corvettes, and that's part of the problem for sure, without a doubt. But
yeah, it's
whatever.
I don't know.
I've always thought that too many people think you should hot rod something, but as one person once said, going fast is good, but you need to know how to stop faster.
Yeah, exactly.
Brakes are always the last thing that ever gets done.
And you know, and every truck I see is, you know, they're lifted with bigger, taller, and wider tires, and you can see they got stock brakes on them. It's like, you know, you got just for the rolling mass, you know, the inertia of those wheels. You know, and in normal driving, you're fine, obviously, but like I said, these guys are driving like they're in a Corvette.
And then it's got a higher center of gravity, and they try to maneuver in and out of vehicles.
Right. Well, that's the other half of the point. That's why I say they're driving like they're in a Corvette, but they're not. If they have to make a quick, evasive move, it's like, you know, I see the vans, the roofers. I get away from these guys. They'll have the ladders stacked like 5 feet, you know, laying flat, but 5 feet up on the top of that van. Man, a Volkswagen could hit them in the side and probably topple them over. You know, that's a lot of weight. Those aluminum ladders are heavy when you add like 8 or 10 of them onto the top of a tall vehicle already. So, I mean, luckily I really haven't seen that happen. Luckily, but it wouldn't be too far of a stretch, you know. So, and the way people come out of side streets and all, it's, you know, bound to happen. But whatever. Oh,
Jim,
yeah.
you look like you're beat. You had a bad day today?
Oh, me? I was busy working all day, doing stuff around the house, still working on this apartment, and opened up the pool, and yeah, it was a busy day. They're all busy.
About Jim, he's sitting there looking like
Jim.
somebody's worked him over.
Nah, wife and I went out to dinner, so I had, you know, a couple, 3 tall ones.
Oh, okay.
Well, you know, we went to dinner in Port Washington last night because it was my daughter's birthday. So rush hour going to Port Washington from the South Shore, man.
Hey.
Yeah, you know what it was like. But we did it. And
Was
they
the restaurant
enjoy
worth
it.
it at least?
What's that?
Was it worth it at least, the restaurant?
It was. You know, we went to this place last year. It's a nice place on the water, and they rehabbed it over the winter. They must have put $100,000 into this place because it is now totally redone, in and out. It's very nice. Well, I'll give you an example. The 3 of us went out to breakfast, spent $85 on breakfast.
Yikes.
We went to
That's
dinner
what I say.
and only spent $150. Well, that's because my wife and my daughter both had like appetizers for their meal, and I didn't order it. I didn't get a drink, and so I guess that kept it down a little. So yeah, the dinner was in line, and breakfast was the one that was out of line. It's crazy.
Yeah, breakfast has gotten nuts around here. What's
Yeah.
going on with that? Jeez.
The further north you go, you know,
Yeah,
I
that's,
go into Queens, it's a little better. Don't go to Blue Bay, because that place is holy shit, man. You know what that is on Fannie Lou and the LIE.
oh, dude, I used to live there.
I know, I love the diner, but no, they got very expensive. But I go up with Billy, we go up into Whitestone. There's a little place that he knows up there, and that place is a lot more affordable.
What
And
place
then
in Whitestone?
a couple of friends who went up to Rhinebeck last year, and as you go up, it gets cheaper. So in Rhinebeck, we actually had, for the three of us, it was maybe $40.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the further north you go, it was getting better and better. But yeah, down here, it's ridiculous. Gotta learn how to cook. But it's nice going out. You want to go out once in a while, and
Oh, definitely. I mean, Port Washington is beautiful. Getting there sucks.
yeah, especially for that time of day. But it really wasn't that bad. I mean, it was a better part of an hour from where I am, which it should have been only about 36 minutes. But whoa, Brian, who's that?
This is Lilo. This is Frenchie.
Okay.
This is Brianna's better half.
All right. Nice. You guys can have tacos later, or maybe a grilled
Yeah.
cheese.
Oh, stop.
Wow. Nice.
Okay. She wanted to see what I was doing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Don't fall through.
Oh, that's cool.
She's a handful. The other dogs are all like, "What the hell is that? What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
And it's just so funny. She walks in the door and they're all like, "Ah!"
Yeah.
They're like people.
Huh?
The dogs are like people, man.
Oh yeah, and Riley, he's gotten a lot better, and they play, and it's funny watching. I mean, Lilo can almost like jump up on top of him on this golden. I mean, like I'm waiting for her to ride him around like a horse, But Lucy doesn't want to have any part of it. She looks at me and like, what the hell is this thing doing here? And I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Wow.
So,
wow. Hey, so I got to tell you guys a little problem I'm having with OPG. I ordered my seats for my car and the brackets back in January, and they said, I just found the receipt here. They said it was going to be like 6 to 8 weeks. I said, okay, no problem. Figured somewhere around May, April, May. Well, I've been on the phone with them. I called again today. They can't. These things are like not materializing. The seats, they don't stock them because they're made by, they're made by Scat, which is Procar. Then they go out to this other place, Legendary, where they have the vinyl insert changed to match the GTO interior, and they get drop shipped from there. They can't get an answer on why these things haven't shipped or where they are. I just called today. I talked to a guy back on May 22nd who put out a company-wide email to follow up on this to find out what's going on. So I haven't heard back from him. It's 2 weeks. And the guy I spoke to today says, well, I pulled up on the computer. I see what he did. And if he hasn't gotten back to you, he just hasn't found anything out yet. I was like, I mean, no one in the company can find out because I have copied me on the emails, and he sent it out to OPG-wide. And I don't know. I'm just doomed not to have these seats, I think. I don't know. So.
Well, I'm a little suspicious of trying to order anything now because it's getting harder and harder to get an answer about when they're going to ship it, when it's going to show up.
Well, the problem is though, I ordered them in January, so it was way before any of the stuff started with. I mean, we're still getting our Amazon stuff like regular, but yeah, I don't know. So, guess I'll
Well,
be styling this spring.
as somebody that has to deal with a lot of somebody else doing their job and something coming along, it really sucks.
Yeah.
Um, and it's hard, unfortunately, because the world we live in is instant gratification.
Right.
You can't, and you can tell people, I can tell people all day long, hey, this is going to take, 2 weeks, or it's going to take a week, or it's going to take whatever. Yeah. But the next day, it's like, where the hell is this thing?
Oh, geez.
And, I'm having uh, a crazy thing. I had some compressors that I sold. I sold a guy two huge compressors, and I have another one. And we used to have the maintenance kits, guy. And I always kept one on the truck. And the guy bought my last maintenance kit, and I knew, okay, I need to put one on or put two on so that I have them. Well, it's been 3 months. I've been trying to deal with finding a maintenance kit for this thing.
What is
And
that
I call
comprised of? What's that comprised of, Brian? The maintenance.
it's well, one of the compressor actually has a spin-on oil filter, and it comes with a spin-on oil filter, oil, and air filters. And then they have a bigger package that comes with the silencers. These are quiet run compressors.
Right.
And then if you have a dryer, then you have dryer filters. This is not a dryer one, a dry air one. So, but so I'm like being run around, and a lot of these big companies has tried so hard, or they try not to be put on eBay or Amazon. Like they don't, you can't get their products there. They won't sell to a third. You have to be a supplier.
Right.
And so, I'm running around with two different places, and we can't find. Part numbers have changed. Here's the new part numbers. So I called the manufacturer directly and said, hey, look, I just want to buy some stuff for my guys. I mean, they need this. Oh, we can't sell it to you. You had to buy it from so-and-so. Okay. So I go back to so-and-so, and they're like, oh, they're on back order, or this is that, or we don't know. And I'm like, dude, this is ridiculous. And like Papa Squirrel says, man, you're like leery on ordering anything because you don't even know when it's coming, how it's coming, or what you're getting.
On that note, last week I told you about my frustration with Mac over that ratchet wrench.
Yep.
Just to recap, I went on their website and wrote a request for evaluation for either a warranty or a return, and send it off. So the next day I get an email back saying, okay, please call our customer service line, 800 whatever, and customer warranty department, consumer warranty department. So I do. And I got a voicemail. It was all voicemail oriented. And, I left a message, figured it's not going to go anywhere. And I waited like another 2 days. I didn't hear back from him. And I called again. And this time I got somebody. So I was on the phone with this guy. And I said, I pitched my case. Guy's name was Larry. And said, this is the thing. I know the wrench is, it's a little older now, but it's like really hasn't been used. It's like brand new. And I've been soaking it for 3 days in Trizoil. So this stuff was like, it was still very hard to operate. He goes, okay, let me see. I gave him the part number of the tool and the part number of the set. And he looks up. He goes, okay, well, that is discontinued. I said, yep, I figured it would be. I said, that's why I didn't want to just send it in. The email said you can just send it in and we'll evaluate it. So I don't want to let it out of my hands until I knew, I was going to either get a new one or get mine back because I can work with it. So he said, no, that was very smart, hanging on to it. He goes, it is discontinued. He says, but I do see that does have lifetime warranty on it. I'm like, oh, very good. He goes, so let me see, let me do some homework and see if we have anything that's similar that I can send to you. And that was 2 days ago, so I haven't heard back from Larry yet. So at least I did get a human being and I actually got to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's going to be, work out in my favor, but we'll see.
That's another whole problem because, unfortunately, it's kind of like how that part for that 55 Chevrolet that sat around on a parts bench or on a shelf someplace, and you could always get something. And now that all that stuff is gone, I get yelled at all day long because a guy comes to me and hands me something that's 25, 30 years old, and I said, dude, there is no more of this stuff around.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's got to be, and I'm like, dude, it's just not.
I talked with a woman this morning. My buddy Dougie turned me on. He told me about this a while ago. I think I told you about it, Brian. She's got a 1971 Nova. It was her husband's car. I don't remember. She said they bought it new. I may be thinking of somebody else. But they drove it around. Had a really good time with the car. Used it a lot. And now he's passed away. So she had her son or her son-in-law work on the car. But they've both relocated now. The son, I don't know where he went. The son-in-law is down in North Carolina. So she goes, I'm thinking about having him come up just to work on the car. She's got it at a shop. She's having a carburetor issue. And they couldn't solve it. They put another carburetor on it. They kept telling her it's like the accelerator arm. I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense to me, the accelerator. I said, what's it doing? And she goes, well, the car starts. Sometimes it's a little hard in the morning. I'm like, okay, that's the choke. And she says, it'll run and drive okay, but if you stop at a stop sign or a light, it'll stall. And I said, okay, carburetor related. There is a screw on there that will raise the idle. I said, you can literally just raise the idle and maybe it won't stall. I said, but if the car was in a shop, they should know that. She goes, yeah, the guy there, they really didn't know. They don't really work on old cars. I was like, oh boy. They're looking for a TPS reset or something.
Yeah.
So, so she wants to get me involved and I'm always very leery. So I said to her, let's get some baseline. I said, what engine's in the car? Is it is a 6-cylinder, a V8? She goes, oh yeah, it's an 8. She goes, maybe a 307. I'm like, yeah, it could be a 307. And she goes, or a 305. I said, no, it wouldn't be a 305. They didn't come out till later. I said, doesn't mean somebody couldn't have put a 305 in the car. She goes, no, we never had it changed. I said, well, there's a fender tag on the fender right behind the headlight. I said, it would say 307. It's very common, so yet to be seen. And I'm thinking it was a 2-barrel. She tells me it's a 1-barrel. I was like, I don't think you have a 307 with a 1-barrel. So now, you're dealing with someone on the phone, you're trying to help them, but you're getting all the wrong information. So I said to her, you know what? I'm not set up. I can't take a car in at my house. I said, in the shop I work at, it's got to go through them, and they're a little busy. Well, do you know anybody? So I turned her on to my friend Barry, who has a shop. I said, I'll send you the card. Go see Barry. I said, chances are, if he needs a carburetor rebuilt, he's going to call me anyway because I do work for him. I said, so I'll be involved in some way or another. And she says, I want to go back to the shop and get my original carburetor. I'm like, oh, if they have it, yeah, you should get it. I said, I will tell you this, and I have seen this to be true even over the last 5, 6, 8 years. To get 1- and 2-barrel carburetor kits is harder. I told her, I said, we were taking those off and putting 4 barrels on the cars. Now nobody has them anymore, and to get the kits is next to impossible. So I said, but we'll see. I said, if I get involved, I'll do what I can. You never know what's going to happen. What's going to come your way?
All right,
Hey,
guys. My phone's getting ready to die. I got the low battery thing coming up. So,
Okay,
talk to you
Paul,
all
I will see you
soon.
next week.
Yes, you will.
In person.
I'll send you a couple pictures when I get to my storage unit. I have some brake lays.
That would be fantastic. I ended up. I'm working on a 70 to 72 C10, or I'm sorry, C20, 8 lug. Truck has 30,000 miles on it. The rotors had never been off this truck before. It still has the wear or the groove indicators in the rotors. The wear discard marks in the rotors. So O'Reilly said they could turn them. Then O'Reilly tells me, nope, they can't turn it. It's got a groove in it.
Actually, what kind of truck was that, Paul?
70 to 72 C10.
And the groove goes
20.
It's radial. The groove goes radial around the rotor.
Yes, it's a wear indicator.
I always thought it was a dust groove.
Okay, it could be a dust groove, but it's a wear indicator. If you mic the rotor and you mic where that wear indicator in the groove,
yeah,
that's the discard.
Okay, well, could do double duty. That's okay. Good. Yeah, I guess on a cast rotor, if you don't see the groove, you're low. No two ways about it. It's like you don't see you see the wear bars on the tire. You don't need to measure shit. You just don't change them.
The only thing though, Paul, just I don't know if you're still interested. I mean, I have a machine. I mean, I think I have two, but a lot of the guys kept a lot of the accessories. I mean, I have like the rotor and the arm for the rotor, the rotor dials and the drum. I might have a few cones, but most of the guys
they rob the cones out of them when they give the units up.
Yeah, because a lot of times, like some of them. I know one of them. I got practically for nothing. I think I only paid the guy a couple $100 because he just didn't use it anymore. And when I went to go get it, I said something. I think it had like only 2 cones on it. And I know a couple of the other guys in the shop, they took the cones because they used them for either, press something with a press tool or beating the shit out of something. Or one of the places kind of funny because they still have it holding the door open to the office. You know what I'm saying? So, but like I said, the main thing is the tool. I mean, the machine. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I'll see what I got. Hopefully, we finally got all the approvals on everything's done with the shed, or as I was told today from the county, it was a modular garage. That's how we should have called it. But I'm going to be cleaning the storage unit out and moving stuff in, and so I'll send you a couple pictures and let you know what I got, and we'll go from there.
All right. I'll be up there mid to late July. Is when I'm scheduled to be up there again.
All right. Well, like I said, other than this weekend going to Carlisle, I usually don't travel too far, so I'm going to the Ford National Meet Saturday.
Going to get the rest of your parts, huh?
Huh?
You get the rest of your parts, huh?
I'm hoping I can find some good fenders, but I know part of the problem. I know I should really go tomorrow. I just can't miss work. I can't give the guys on.
Thing is yours?
66.
That's still the old body style. That's before,
it's first generation, 65, 66.
What's this?
Well, it's 65 or 66 are the same. 67, 68 are different.
Okay, so 65, 66 are the same.
Yeah.
When I get up there, there's going to be some Mustang parts, some early Mustang parts available. And if it's anything you're interested in, they'll go to you.
Yeah, like I said, the only thing I ever did, well, the two things, but the one thing that I did that I can't believe I did it was when I took the original fenders off. They were rotted on the bottom, and of course back then they didn't have any kind of patch panels or kits or anything to fix them. And when I took them off, I took them out and I chucked them in the woods because I figured I was just going to buy fenders. And of course, 32 years later, I didn't buy, and I don't have any fenders. Actually, believe it or not, I went back to where I chucked the fenders, and I dug around forever. I found a lot of shit, but I didn't find my fenders. So we had a place that we used to go hang out and do certain things in the middle of the night, and there was a lot of shit still there, but my fenders weren't. So
it's all been covered over with a housing development.
Well, that was kind of the scary part because there wasn't a housing place there, and when I got there was, but a little further deeper in the woods, I was in somebody's backyard, So, but it was interesting.
All right.
But I'll send you some pictures and let me know, Paul.
Yeah, phone's getting ready to die. Lewis, I'll talk to you later in the week.
All right, sounds good. Have a good night.
Yeah, Paul. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna bounce off too.
All right, Jim.
Don't bounce too hard.
Yeah.
That's easy with this.
On a full stomach, yeah, you could bounce really good.
And a couple of more.
Go sleep it off.
Yeah, there you go. All right, take care, guys.
So long, Jim.
Yep.
All right. Oh boy.
What's up,
So
Coach?
Not much. How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Another week has gone by.
Oh yeah.
So if you remember last time I was on, after we were on the after show, I asked about steering rack issues and whatnot.
Right.
So Wednesday, my daughter called me, said she was coming home because her brakes were making a crunchy sound. And I said, crunchy? You mean grinding? And I said, not good. You're gonna need your rotors and pads replaced. So needless to say, she drove home, and I ended up having to not only do a brake job, but change the wheel bearing and hub. So
what vehicle, Isaac?
Toyota 4Runner.
Did it come right out?
No.
Up here they rust terribly.
That was a front or rear?
Front.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I mean, we use slide hammers, torches, air chisels, whatever the hell we got.
Yeah, I had to take the so I had the bearing started to seize to the hub, and I had to take the knuckle out. I had to go buy a press. Went and bought a 12-ton, and it was just, the press was bowing, and I'm like, that's not good. So I got a 20-ton, and it popped out, but it took the snap ring and everything out with it. And
take that out first.
No, the snap ring's actually on the inside. It's so the hub comes out. Lug side first. But you have to get that out to get to the snap ring, because the snap ring's behind the hub. Whereon I've seen it on other vehicles where it's the other way. So I think like the Ford Focus we had, the snap ring was on the inner side. You pop the snap ring off, and then you press it the other way. This came completely it came out hub out first, and then you take the snap ring. And I watched like 5 videos on it just to confirm. So I was having nothing but trouble. But
might I ask why you didn't just take that hub down to an auto parts store and have them press it out for you?
I haven't had much luck with the auto parts stores around here.
Okay.
I've taken stuff in, and they're like, "Oh, we don't do that. We don't." Even like Paul was saying, having the rotors turn. Depending on who you get at the counter, they're like, "Oh yeah, we can do that. It's got to go to our hub store," or you'll get certain people in that are like, "Nope, we don't do that at all." Um, the few stores around here, they've had a turnover, and the people they've gotten in are really not that good.
Yeah.
In fact, there was a girl that worked at the one around the corner, and she was spot on. If she was confused on what I was asking, she'd ask me a couple of questions and then go, "Okay, you, this is new to me. You understand what you're doing." Where anybody else you're sitting there fighting with, and they're like, "Nope, that's not what that is. That's not." And then you have to pull something up to show them, and
Well,
and I think that's one of the reasons a couple of these these people at the counter don't like me, because I've had to pull stuff up and like, "Look, dumbass, this is what this is," or whatever. But she ended up getting a job with the motor vehicle department. Every once in a while, I'll shoot her a text and go, "Hey, do you know anybody at the store? Is there anybody good? Anybody you recommend me to try to deal with?" Because she got so good working with me, and then she was training some of the people how to work with me and other customers that came in, that at one point I even got her number just so I could see if she was on duty, and if not, find out who to talk to when she wasn't on duty.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just it dealing with some of these stores here nearby, and I've noticed it more so since COVID. You just got people that don't want to work, and some of the ones that are working don't want to work. You know. But anyways, I got that changed. But when I went to pull, so Sunday when I got her 4Runner pulled out, so I could pull the Honda in. As I was pulling it in, it clunked and it felt funny in the wheel. Well, I had just sent my wife and her up to go get a battery. I said, "You guys go get the battery. I want that battery changed." But I said, "Bring it back. We'll have her boyfriend change it and I'll help him." I said, "But I got to get started on this car." But then I had to wait for her to come back. And when she came back, I said, "Look, turn the key to the on position. I'm going to put the flashlight down there so I can see. And when I say now, I need you to go like this on the steering wheel." And of course I go, "Okay, turn the key on. I'll tell you now in a minute." And she turns it on and starts doing this.
Ah.
I'm not even under it, or I ain't even got my head underneath the hood. But I got a laugh out of that. But when she did it, I could see the whole rack moving. So I got it up in the air. 2 of the mounting bolts were missing.
oh, baby.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I had to go
It's
find
funny
bolts.
how things like that loosen up.
Yeah.
Well, it's easier to get hardware than it is to get something pressed. So
Yeah, that's correct. I had already bought the rack, and getting under there, there's leaks everywhere on the original rack. It's the original one. So I was like, "I've got this one. I'll just go ahead and put it in." I didn't put it in. I got replacement bolts for now to get me through the week. But come Saturday, I'm gonna change the rack.
okay.
But I got my daughter back on the road and got her back to Phoenix. Brand new battery, which I was shocked because I believe the sticker said 2020, and I have no clue how it made it this long.
Oh, fine.
And here's the thing: the battery wasn't having problems. I mean, she'd get in and fire up and everything. I said, "But you know what? I know that battery's old." And when we got it out, I found the sticker, and yeah, I want to say it said 20. It was either 2020 or 2021, and that's an oddity that long down here in the desert.
Yeah. Well, good. At least something lasted.
Yeah, I was actually pleasantly surprised. But I told her, I said, because this is old, I said I want it changed now, so that you don't have to make a trip down here like that again.
Right. Yeah. No, that's good.
I mean, I enjoyed her being down here for the weekend. it was nice spending time with her, and she brought her dog home, and the other dog snapped out of being sad, and I guess up there he's been sad, so he snapped out of it.
Yeah.
But and then outside of that, I've just been coaching football camp. House honeydews and house projects, honeydews, and coaching football camp.
Yeah.
Except for yesterday, I guess I I didn't sweat that much. I didn't think I lost a lot of minerals, but the high school had a tournament, and they asked me if I'd go help out, and I went. It was yesterday afternoon, and I think it was 98 degrees. It was kind of cool, but yeah, for here for now. But this morning I got up and I went to roll out of bed and both of my hamstrings cramped.
Oh yeah.
And the worst part is I'm sitting there and I kick my feet as straight as can be and trying to sit up and get a little bit of a stretch on them, and they start calming down, and I start to turn and they cramp up again. They were doing that I was stuck in bed for probably about 5 minutes. And then when I got out of bed, I went to put my shorts on, and as I went to lift my leg up, it tried to cramp again. So I had to put my toes on the floor into my shorts and then bend down to pick up. It was a pain. It was a whole new lesson.
I found when I get leg cramps, I would get them when I wake up too. I found what I got to do is kind of kick the toes back.
Yeah.
That way, that relieves that cramp. And then sometimes as soon as you bring your toes back, it cramps again. So back again. It's nasty. That's
yeah. I got up. I took a couple sips of pickle juice, and then I put some sea salt under my tongue, a pinch of sea salt. Try to get the magnesium in my body.
I usually go for the quinine.
Yeah, my wife has to take quinine every night because otherwise she gets hellacious leg cramps.
Problem is, I go for the quinine in the tonic, and then I'm adding my gin to it.
That's it. That's right.
And then I'm lighting a cigar, and then I'm like, okay, this is good.
Hey, that's why the British came up with gin and tonic, because they didn't like the taste of it. It goes down better with alcohol.
I didn't used to, but I do now. I found some really good gins that, really hit the spot.
Hey, Lewis.
Yeah.
So I was listening when you guys came on. I was busy making tacos for my wife, but so with everything that happened with the Jeep and whatnot, you don't have a CB radio in the bus?
I was thinking the same thing about a CB. I didn't say it.
I do, but I got to run the antenna, the cable. I got to run the cable.
Oh, okay.
So that's on my list.
I mean, we went on a day trip out to the lake, and I hooked up my CB, and there's not that much at least right around here, there wasn't that much radio traffic as I remember as a kid, but every once in a while I heard somebody, and I just figure it's good to have.
Oh yeah. Yep. I gotta cut the cable and extend it and all kind, that kind of stuff. Get it through the hole.
Yeah.
Yep. I had so many projects, I just didn't get to it.
I just didn't believe nobody tried to flag you down or wave you down. I mean, I heard what you said, and people are just caught up in their own thing, and as long as it ain't affecting them, they don't care. And it's sad, and it's so true.
Yeah.
But man, you see that, I just can't believe. I mean, that's a potential for that Jeep burning down and possibly catching the bus. That's a possibility that Jeep, whatever happens, break loose and then hit those people that don't care. Yeah, there's a ton of scenarios. I just, man, it's just disgusting how people are nowadays.
Yep. And I know when the guy pulled up next to me, see, I can only go 65, so a lot of people are passing me anyway. But I know several people just passed me, and didn't say anything. Then the next guy comes up,
Oh,
he's like,
he's not
"Hey,"
happy.
yeah, he's like pointing it out. So
Yeah.
Louis, you need one of these.
what is that?
This is an old. Wow. It's a 3-meter CB tester.
Oh,
You put your antenna cable in this. It goes in line, and it will read watts, percent of modulation, and SWR, so you can tune the antenna.
oh, sweet.
This is Micron. This is an old Radio Shack piece.
Wow.
That's an old piece.
Yes,
When
it
I'm up
is.
your way, I'll have you check it out for me.
I wonder if it's dated. $39.95. Yeah, no.
You know, I was just talking about Radio Shack, how I miss them because you can't find, if you want to fix something, you can't find the parts.
Well, I'll
Yeah.
tell you the truth, right? My buddy at the shop has a it's a powered speaker, but it's like a PA speaker. Like you can put a guitar through whatever. And he said to me, it crapped out, and he called the company and they said, nah, they sell a newer one now. So he asked me if I could take a look at it, and I said, yeah, sure. So I took it apart, and I found some bad components on the board. But one of the components is a 4.7 ohm resistor. And I don't have any. And I went to Micro Center. They have resistor packs of smaller values and larger values, and nothing that was 4.7. So, and there was a Radio Shack literally in walking distance from my house years ago. Can't go there anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I mean, when they were around, unless you needed something, I didn't really think of them or really, feel one way or the other. But and there's times I did go and get stuff and it helped. But as soon as they went away, that's when I started noticing I needed them a lot more than I realized.
absolutely. It's always the case.
Because you can order it off Amazon, but you always order the wrong size or the wrong something. It's always, it's not like Radio Shack where you can go in and touch it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. You like you said, you can go in and when there was a brick and mortar store, you could touch it. And then two, there were still employees that were at least somewhat knowledgeable that you could ask them questions.
Yep.
And then feel yeah, exactly.
I just watched a video on the history of Radio Shack and how they got, bought out, how Tandy bought them out and restructured them, and how they went through the whole telephone age and the electronics, and how things have changed over the years. And they said that that was the thing. People took it for granted, but like if you went in, you always knew there were always geeks working there. Mm-hmm. So if you got a geeky question, there's going to be geeks there that are going to help you out. You would, somebody in there always knew more than you did.
Yeah.
So very true.
I remember when you say the telephone stuff, I remember in the 90s when the neon telephones, I had one. I'm pretty positive that's where I got it from, was Radio Shack. It was one of those that you flip a switch and at night it'd have a blue or a purple neon light, and then when it would ring, that light would flicker.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The cool stuff of the 90s. Nobody likes that stuff no more.
Yeah, you're bringing your age out.
It'll come back.
People always equated Radio Shack with cheap shit.
Yeah. Now I follow.
Had radio.
Go on, Pop. No, Phil, go on.
Yeah, I had a couple of CB radios from Radio Shack. I bought one of my girlfriend's a 8-track tape player from there.
What's
8-tracks are? Yeah.
I got one in my Cadillac, and I was going to show my daughter, but it didn't work. I found the 8-track at a garage sale, so I was going to play it for her, but it didn't work.
Yeah. I watch a lot of audio channels too, guys who are audio repair guys and collectors. And one of the guys did a show just on the Radio Shack stuff. And they said, it was always looked at as like, budget consumer electronics and just, basic stuff. but he said he cherry picked out some of the pieces and said some of these receivers were made. It was just like the same thing like with the VCR age. There are only like 3 companies making everything.
Mhm.
And he said some of that Radio Shack stuff was made by some of the bigger, more popular Japanese electronic companies.
Yeah.
He said so it was really a bang for the buck and a great buy, but nobody knew it. And it got that bad moniker. So
Yeah, that's true. That's you can even talk about in the early days with our favorite place, Harbor Freight, was the
Yeah.
same thing because you could go in there and you could find some stuff, and it would be name brand, or it wouldn't be a knockoff thing. It was what they made, and like I said, there were a few times you can get yourself a really good deal and a good tool, just because of who made it. Because there's only a handful of people that make the stuff.
I mean, I think I sent you the video a while ago, Brian. It was the history of Harbor Freight,
Yeah,
and it went through the whole thing with the guy who owned it and how his son took over and whatnot. But the one thing that impressed me was the father had a vision, and he just took out patents on almost every name he could think of, and they listed them on the screen. There was like 40 or 50 names, and they said, through the years they bring them out when needed, like Earthquake and Viking, and what are the other names that they use all the time? Quinn.
Mhm.
What else? There's like 50 of them, and as they're scrolling by, I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen it. And he said they'll bring some out, and they used to like discontinue or shelve it, but they can always bring it back. Predator, that was another one of theirs. All those names that they have on those tools, they own the rights to that name,
right.
so they could put the tool in the hierarchy where they wanted it for the price point to sell. I said, man, that guy was really thinking ahead.
And
Really
they're
did.
popping them up everywhere. I got some friends that they travel around the country putting them together, opening the stores.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep, they're popping up everywhere.
We talk about that all the time. What's going to be in the future, because it looks like they're putting on the full court. I mean, they're the big thing now is they're knocking on Snap-on's door. They got everybody's buzzing about it, and they're following along. And then they're really they're doing a job. People are really thinking twice, about where to buy, and unfortunately,
Dexter?
I mean, I don't know, Brian. You're the guy to talk about that. I mean, do you think there's room for more competition in the industry, or do you think that?
Well, there's especially when you put pricing involved, there's always going to be competition. And the biggest problem, or not a problem, it comes down to, I hate to sound this way, but it's just the service, and the reliability, and unfortunately, yes, no matter what, it doesn't matter what you're buying, you can always find something somewhere else cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
It just comes down to, because I give guys a lot of hard time because they say, "Oh, I can buy this at Harbor Freight for the," and I say, "Okay, well, go buy it." But a lot of times, when they break it, when the tool breaks, yes, it has a lifetime warranty with Air, but you have to go back to the store and you have to go in and you have to exchange it. And I give guys a hard time. I'm like, well, that's 3 weeks you've gone without that tool. Because, they haven't gone. He goes, oh, yeah, I always forget it, or I don't have time to go. And I said, well, I'm here every week. So you're paying for the service. You're paying for that. And that's that. And then, some people understand that. Some people don't. And, but unfortunately, everybody is affected from the internet. And no matter what, like I said, you can look on the internet and you can find some, I hate it for somehow, I don't know how I got downloaded, but I can look for something on my computer and I'll get 3 windows. Well, you can get cheaper here, or you get cheaper here, or whatever. And you can always find it cheaper. And it just comes down to if you have the time and you're going to run around and do all that. That's more power to you, I guess.
Well, cheaper is not always convenient too.
No, but I think the way to look at it, like Brian said, though, is if guys saying, "Hey, I can get that cheaper Harbor Freight," they obviously have a store that they can go to, and they go there. So for them to not bring their broken or warranty tool there, that's just lazy. Because you go there to buy it. I mean, what's the big deal? Do it after work? Stop by Harbor Freight, but they're lazy.
Right. And, like you said, weeks go by, it's still sitting there, and it's like, and then, like you said, they come out to the truck and they, a common thing like that are the panel poppers, the move the panels. And of course, unfortunately, a lot of guys use them to pry valve covers off or to try to pop an intake, or, they're using it not for a plastic clip, but, I had a guy, his broken Harbor Freight one is still sitting on his box, and I've warranted 2 of the Mako ones out in the last 6 months.
Wow.
And he finally bought one, and he's like, "Yeah, dude." And I said, like you said, they're lazy. How hard is it to take it, throw it in the front seat of the car, and then when you drive by there on Saturday, you go get it fixed? But again, and I'll be honest, a lot of these places, now they're asking for receipts, and that's their getting out of that, trying to get out of not warranty when they start asking for a receipt.
Then again, if you bought it, you have a receipt, save the receipt, man. It's not that hard of a deal, hard to do.
But the receipts are starting to fade away where you can't see it.
That does happen,
Yeah. You got to keep it in the sun for sure.
I know when I go to Harbor Freight, they give me a receipt, but I get one emailed to me too, so I got a copy on my computer.
Yeah, I get one emailed also.
Yeah. But like I said, I think it's kind of let's take the classic Craftsman. We all have Craftsman stuff. I've got stuff that's 1,000,000 years old, and you take it in to go get a warranty, and the first thing they say is, where's your receipt? And I was like, dude, this is like older than you and me together. We can't warranty it unless we have a receipt, and that's what they use to get out of not doing this stuff.
A lot of the day, a friend of mine took his Craftsman wrench back to a dealer. Of course, this is 30 years ago, and he snapped it in half. And the dealer looked at it and says, "Okay." And as he was leaving, he goes, "How long a cheater pipe did you have on that?"
Yeah.
And my friend goes, "I didn't have one." He said, "Bullshit. How long? You already got your wrench." He said, 6 feet. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
6 feet. The fence post.
Yeah, he had to get it loose.
Yep. But it looks like I think they're rounding our crowd up to go eat.
That sounds good, Papa Squirrel.
All right, Papa Squirrel, you enjoy yourself out there.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I plan to. We got one more day set up, and then we have the first weekend of the Ren Fair.
Nice.
It'll be my first day working in years.
Yeah.
Well, I got my brains
I'm
back.
gonna reach out to you guys next week and try to get some info, because I'm gonna start hitting them.
Okay. My wife is the one to talk to, because she was always the one that handled everything.
Right.
I just went along for the ride. Later on, guys.
All
Take
right.
care. Be safe.
See ya.
Good night.
Yeah, guys, I'm gonna jump off and let you guys hit the after party.
All right.
Yeah, I try to settle myself down from that adventure today I had.
Yeah, go
I
polish
can
your
understand
rims.
that.
Yeah.
Brush up on the Atlas.
Oh yeah. I was just looking at it, man. This thing ain't no joke. It has the Route 66 diners to hit.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
So,
that's good.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. So maybe when I go to Vegas, I'm going to do the Route 66. I think. I'm not sure yet.
Nice.
Yeah, when Mom was out in Arizona, she did Route 66, and they hit a couple places. She had a fun time.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They ate a couple places and stopped off. They stayed like at the TP place, the ones the
Right.
wigwams.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
ain't
they
that near
stayed-
the Four Corners?
Yeah, they did that, and they stayed at one other place, but they hit a couple of the old gas stations, the empty buildings or abandoned buildings or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
they said they had a fun time out there on 66 or 66.
That's cool.
Yeah. That's my list. So I'm going to hit it. At least
Okay,
half of it
Louis.
on Vegas. All right, you guys have a good week, and I will talk to you. I'll let you know what's happening. You know where we're
Hey,
at.
Louis.
All right,
All
take
right.
care.
Stay
Be
safe.
safe.
All right, later.
All right.
Did they ever drop down when your mom was up this way? Did they ever drop down to